All right. Oh, I got some YouTube music going here.
You'll get the hang of it someday.
Yeah,
Don't play sound while you're...
I just forgot. I was like, it'll just be the chat. Anyway, welcome to the Woody Allen Show, everyone. We're going to be talking about Woody Allen stuff tonight. I'm Tom. We got Abe. We got Shawn. I'll try not to call them Slate and Tarmac over the course of the show. But yeah, welcome to the show. This will be the first of a million that we're going to be doing. It's a many year thing. I think we're going to stick probably with 2 a week, but I don't know. We'll see, I guess, as we get going. Tonight we're going to talk about What's Up, Tiger Lily, and Take the Money and Run. So I don't know if you've seen those movies, you like those movies, join the chat. It'll be fun. Do we have a call-in thing? Are we doing anything with that?
I figured we'd get through this show first before we...
Okay, so don't call.
Well, if you really want to call, if you remember the number from the last episode, yeah, call in. I'll take your call.
Okay, so I guess we can just start. We can start with Tiger Lily, or we could start maybe just talking a little bit about our relationship with Woody Allen and sort of where that goes. And that's probably bad phrasing, but I think you know what I mean. So
yeah, I think that's the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Abe, why don't we start with you then? What's your relationship with Woody Allen been? What are your favorites? I mean, just in general, what kind of Woody Allen fan are you?
I'm probably the smallest Woody Allen fan here in this show. I'm gonna tell you. I first discovered Woody. It was probably like junior high when I was going through all the Academy Award winners. You know, just point by point, and then I got to Annie Hall, and I fell in love with Woody Allen from Annie Hall, and Sleeper. I just kind of really explored the '70s Woody Allen. And then I kind of fell out of love as I got to the 80s Woody Allen, you know. And then I came back around to the 90s, but I've kind of drifted away, so I'm really looking forward to learning more.
So you came back around in the 90s?
Yeah, I did.
Like with
Mighty Aphrodite.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I think post Mighty Aphrodite, you get another dry spell. It's hard to... I don't know. That's tough. I'm not looking forward to those episodes of this show.
We've got a long way to go before we get there.
All right, Shawn, what about you?
My friend Peter Radix, who I want to get on the show, is the one that got me into Woody Allen. He he got big into the European film and stuff like that, like early, like late high school and stuff. And he would like stay in on like New Year's Eve and watch like Woody Allen, much to the chagrin of all my beer drinking buddies as we were throwing up Meisterbrow and getting shot down by women. He was watching Woody Allen, and me and him talked art and movies more than anybody else. I'm kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde when it comes to that. So he got me into the Woody Allen, and you know, probably started watching the first one I probably watched actually was in school, believe it or not. We watched Everything You Wanted to Know About Sex We Were Afraid to Ask. We watched that as a senior in high school, and then I watched.
What class is that? What high school class is showing that?
It was something about communications, intro to communications. But yeah, we watched it in there, and it's actually pretty tame, except the giant breast made everybody laugh, floating down the hill. But he got me into it, and we would sneak away, like probably in the 90s Woody Allen. We would see, you know, me and him went to see Mighty Aphrodite, Bullets Over Broadway. I think we saw a couple others, but he was really my introduction to it. And then in the glory days of IFC, they would actually, I remember, play some of the Woody Allen stuff. So that was me, probably early 90s and stuff like that. And I've kept up pretty much with a lot of his stuff. You know,
what's your favorite?
Oh, my favorite's definitely Broadway Danny Rose.
Okay.
I think it might be his best comedy, like straight comedy. That's not like a Take the Money and Run or a Zelig type comedy, and it's not like these art house comedies that he's more famous for. I think like the Annie Halls, the Manhattans. This I think is Broadway Danny Rose's straight comedy. Love the black and white. I think more movies should be in black and white.
Plus Mia Farrow, great Mia Farrow performance.
We talked about this on Supernauts, right? It was probably one of her. She had 2 good performances in her career, and this was one of them. And Rosemary's Baby, maybe.
Do we count the witness stand? I mean,
ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
Need a live audience for those kind of remarks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll refrain from trying to be clever since we don't have a big audience.
Well, what's your favorite, Abe?
Ooh, yeah, it's still Annie Hall. That's the pinnacle.
Annie Hall.
That's one of the greatest comedies in the history of movies.
It's hard to argue against either of those. I think Hannah and Her Sisters is probably the one I go back to the most. But I mean, there's so many. There's probably 5 of them that are interchangeable for me. I really love a lot of them. So let's talk, I guess, at the beginning. Or I should give my introduction. I kind of skipped that. I don't really have it wasn't really a social thing for me with Woody Allen. In fact, I think now I'm closer to a point where I can watch these movies with other people than I probably ever have been. With Chris is starting to get into them, so that's like as close as it gets. But it was just I think I was like a freshman in high school or something, and I had rented Annie Hall. I think it was either Annie Hall or Crimes and Misdemeanors. I think was the very first one that I watched, and so I rented those, and then just went on a rampage trying to find as many as I could, and that was many years I think of tracking down a lot of them. The very last one I think I found a long time ago was Sweet and Lowdown on DVD. That was tough to find, that one. I didn't like it. It was my last one that I hadn't seen except for his new ones at the time. But yeah, so I mean, I've always loved his movies. I saw them completely out of order. I saw some of them on IFC, some of them just like when they were in theaters. I started to get into it, and then I don't know. So it's just been sort of this solitary thing. There's been maybe 1 or 2 people I know who occasionally I can talk about a Woody Allen movie with, but a lot of them kind of have the Ronin reaction of they're like, oh, Woody Allen, okay, and they haven't gotten over that. So I don't know. I'm excited to do this, and it's really fun to revisit them in order. I know we talked about not doing that, but to go back and do them in order, it can paint sort of a different picture, and it's fun to see some of the things that he was playing with at the very beginning, and it'll be fun to see that progress even more. Particularly his editing style, I think, was something that I was paying attention to more with these. I mean, because Tiger Lily has terrible editing, terrible flow.
Yeah.
Not that it needs to be any huge piece of art or anything.
We can't blame him for that necessarily.
Well, it was chopped up from what the original one was, so there's a very small degree of blame when you're taking something that's already pre-edited and re-editing it, I guess, but... I mean, even just the sound is just all over the place, and it's just, I don't know. The movie does not flip. I don't know how much. Maybe you guys know more than I do, but my understanding is this started out as a 1-hour television assignment that he was doing, just as a goofy little one-off, and then some producer recut it, added more, and made it into an 80-minute thing with Love and Spoonful and some of those other things. And I mean, do you guys know the origin? Maybe I don't know a whole lot about it.
I basically just read something as I watched it, and that sounds about right, something like that. Yeah. I didn't recognize any of those Love and Spoonful songs, I'll tell you that much.
I hate the Love and Spoonful. Those were tough to get through. I don't know.
I like the theme song. I'm not going to lie. I like that theme song. I thought it was good.
It's got a goofy tone. I think it doesn't actually hurt the tone of the movie, I don't think. I just don't like the band very much. But I pulled out in the Woody Allen on Woody Allen book. He talks about that at the very beginning because it goes through I don't know if there's an updated edition, but the one I have goes from the very beginning up to, I think, Small Time Crooks. And he actually refuses to go into a conversation about Tiger Lily. And he has a little paragraph that he kind of talks about, and he calls it stupid and juvenile, and he sued the producer to try to get it from coming out. And he said, I never thought the film was anything but insipid. It was a sophomoric exercise. And so that was kind of interesting to go back and look at that and then watch the movie. And I think part of it probably comes from you talking to later in his career, Woody Allen has a different opinion, I'm sure, than Woody Allen at the time. It seems like he was having fun making it. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't.
Right.
So let's just talk about the movie, I guess. I mean, what are your general impressions?
I think it's funny. I actually do think it's legitimately funny. You're right. It may be an editing mess and the sound might be off, but it all somehow works. I'm a sucker for Mystery Science Theater. That's one of my favorite shows of all time. So this is just kind of a natural offshoot of that, and I love it. Some of the one-liners are killing me in this movie. I
think some of the things, even just like towards the end when he's coughing and he coughs is insanely loud. It's so funny. He just hits the right tone or the right timing, and I find myself battling with the movie because part of me is just like, oh, this is so dumb and so poorly put together, but it is enjoyable. It's hard not to sit back and enjoy and laugh.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think even at a minute and 20, it might be 30 or 40 minutes too long for me. Um, but there are some decent one-liners. It's completely ridiculous. It is sophomoric, but there is it is kind of charming in like a kitschy way. Like especially the beginning, it almost looks like something that like Tarantino would ape or something like that. That whole style, and you can't give that to Woody Allen. Obviously, that's probably more of the Japanese thing. But it seems to have that typical New York '60s, I guess. Would you call it Borscht Belt humor? The Jewish humor with the egg salad and the what's his name, Barry Moskowitz, this Japanese Barry Moskowitz. But it's got its moments of entertaining and you know very attractive Asian women in it too, which is kind of helps.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, come on, I'm dying. Call my rabbi. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. I love the. And first off, I don't know. Maybe I'm alone here. I'm a sucker for that. Mod '60s secret agent stuff to begin with, and
absolutely. Just
It's fun, yeah.
the look of it is love it.
yeah.
I think it helps that he picked something that kind of had that fun vibe to it already, because then he could sort of build off that as opposed to if he picked something that was very dry and then just did it. I mean, well, maybe that would work too, though. Now that I say that, that's hard to know. But I kind of think, are there any other other than like Kung Pao in Mystery Science Theater? Has anyone else really done anything like this?
There was an old show called Mad Movies. Does anybody remember this on like Nickelodeon late night in the late '80s? They would do that. They would just dub over the dialogue of classic, probably more public domain movies. Now that I think about it.
I was actually looking when I watched it because it reminded me of something that you would see on. Remember the old Night Flight? If you're old enough,
Oh
on
yeah.
USA.
Oh yeah.
And I was looking, and I'm like, I know I saw something like this on Night Flight, and I looked it up today, and Night Flight did Dynaman, but they redubbed it with like funny stuff. So maybe that was what I was thinking of. So I'm sure. I mean, maybe kind of a trailblazer by doing this.
Well, yeah, that too. Did anyone do this before him? I
Well,
guess?
Gone with the Wind did it before.
Right.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, yes.
absolutely.
Other than Going with the Wind.
That was a funny bit.
Yeah, I don't recall anybody doing this before. But I mean, obviously, I'm not a television historian here. I can't tell you what was
Yeah.
ever played. But
That's something if people could call in, who like if all the historians watching, they might want to correct us when we're wrong about some of these
Did
things.
Uncle Milty do something similar maybe in like the 40s or 50s?
Well,
That's
we
true.
have, I mean, what dubbing and then mockumentary kind of. They're both kind of trailblazing in a way. I don't know what the first mockumentary would be either, though.
Talking over, old movie phone newsreels of Nazis marching through Europe and making jokes, which Woody kind of did later on.
Yeah, he went back to that. I don't know. So I guess with Tiger Lily, it's hard to know like what is there really to discuss other than just it's pretty funny. It's kind of a mess, but it's funny. I mean, did you guys bring anything to that? Any ideas about things that you wanted to get into with it?
well, I think the political correctness aspect of it is something I think we should touch on.
Okay, let's go with
Well,
it.
because as we talked about way back, like last month, it's hard to find the supposed original cut of this movie. Remember?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's the PC edit, where they
I
cut
don't know
out some
which one I'd
jokes.
seen. I until even watching it had been a long time, so I don't know.
Well,
Do you have any idea what jokes were cut out?
Well, according to Puck, the version I watched, and I think Sean watched, the one
Yeah.
the one we pirated was was the non PC version, was the original cut.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of like Oriental jokes being
Yeah.
thrown out. Yes, and
Yeah.
I don't want to use that word, but that's
Woody Allen used that word. He's
Yeah.
using it, the quote.
Right,
you just
yes.
can't see it.
yeah. So, but yeah, there was a lot of that, and I kind of wondered if that was cut.
Well, I mean, yeah. Is it like the race stuff that's cut, or is it the sex stuff? Or I mean,
No, it would be the race stuff. I saw on a message board and some comments here and there that people were remembering specific jokes about race that were no longer in the one that they bought on DVD.
okay.
So it's all
Interesting.
race stuff. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it's a weird, like, why even do you know what you're getting into? Like, do you know what you're buying there? I mean, and then to cut that, I mean, it seems like a weird thing to try to turn more PC just by virtue of what it is.
Yeah.
And that movie, if you look back on it, must have been pretty racy 50 years ago, no? I mean, it must have at least been pushing some kind of envelope. I don't know.
There was still some resentment towards Asians at that time in America for Pearl Harbor and whatnot. You know, there really was. So I don't know how it would have played in '66.
I mean, 20 years is not a long time.
No, it's not. That generation is all still alive. Yeah.
Yeah. And still remembering, those guys that were over there or whatever.
And that's always been kind of this weird American dynamic that it's okay to make fun of Asians.
It still is.
Yeah, it still is. Yeah.
I thought it was ridiculous at the Oscars that they were making such a big point of inclusion and not being racist, and then there's just all sorts of these sort of low blow Asian jokes. Like, okay, I guess we're okay with those though.
I kind of tend to fall into the South Park mindset. It's either all okay or just take it all off the table.
No, absolutely. You have to make fun of everybody and everything equally if you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, everybody else just looks hypocritical.
Especially if you're preaching. The whole thing is kind of preachy, stop, you have to include people. We have to acknowledge that race is a real thing. And now here's some jokes about Asian kids making, technology.
Exactly.
So what did you think watching this now with our 21st century sensibilities? Were you at all offended or shocked by the jokes?
I think you have to watch it. It's like watching anything that's older, where you watch it sort of
in a time capsule.
Yeah, to some with something like this especially, you got sort of multiple layers of that. Actually, I mean, just with what it was at first, and then what Woody Allen did to it, and then what it ends up being. But I think the funny things are not really the race jokes for the most part, though. It's just the overall silliness, or the comedic timing is funny. It making fun of the race. I don't know that. It wasn't completely prominent in it to begin with, so I think it can still work without you, having to latch on to that sort of humor.
Yeah. You're right about the timing. The funniest joke in this movie is the mom joke.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the funniest joke, hands down.
Well, also, too, I mean, that's, a guy smacking a woman around.
Yeah.
That's to play for a joke, which that got an outright, laugh from me.
Yeah.
I thought it was perfectly timed But
I mean, he doesn't really do that kind of humor as Woody Allen goes on. This is probably as edgy, I guess, as he ever really gets.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But you're right. There's not a whole lot to talk about. And, I didn't actually recognize any of the voices from anything else. Did these people? Do we know? Did they go on to do anything else?
I don't know who all was Woody.
Was Woody even a voice, or was he just the conceptualizer?
I guess I assume he's the main guy, isn't he?
I mean, I looked in the credits and I read something like Louise Lasser, who he was married to then, did one of the voices and stuff like that.
So Woody can actually do voices too, huh?
I thought I recognized his voice a few times here and there.
I want to know who was that main guy, because I guess I assume that's Woody doing a really good voiceover job, because some of just the way he pronounces words and some of his little stammer kind of came through occasionally, but maybe I'm reading into it too much.
IMDb is no help here.
Oh, it's not? I was just going to it.
Yeah. It just says
Louise Lasser was, I don't know who she was in this one specifically. I really love her little part in Take the Money and Run.
Oh, yeah.
She's very funny.
Segue.
Well, I think we're still kind of doing this, but just we brought her up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
It's just vocal assistant.
It's a mystery.
It is. Well, I really wish we had a historian on now.
Yeah. Now we know what we need going forward.
Yes. We need to contact the university.
So I guess, any last thoughts on Take the Money, or on What's Up, Tiger Lily, before we jump into Take the Money and Run?
Just, I guess every genius has a starting point, huh?
Absolutely, and it establishes Woody as a joke writer and the good one-liners he's gonna produce.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think Take the Money and Run maybe works at. I mean, that might be the best example of just his joke by joke basis working really well. They almost work. The scenes are more of just a joke than they are scenes almost the whole movie. And I think even as you get into Sleeper and Love and Death and Bananas, he got a little more filmic even with those, even though they kind of retain that. But Take the Money and Run is just nonstop, really funny jokes, and they all pretty much land, I thought.
Oh yeah.
Is this our first mockumentary?
I don't know, but I think it's he does them pretty well, the mockumentaries, and I really actually it's a format that I really love. It's a cool way of telling a story, like and he did a really good job. And I noticed that his one-liners are almost kind of Rodney Dangerfield like, aren't they? It's a lot of the self-deprecating stuff. Like, what was the one he's like, I used to make obscene phone calls to her collect and stuff like that. Great stuff.
Yeah, so funny. I think you can definitely see a lot of his, Marx Brothers and some of his.
Oh,
I mean, his throwbacks to silent movies are, very much strong here, and I think that carries on probably through Sleeper, even.
Yeah, well, you're right, and I guess that's probably the most remarkable thing is he's already, and this probably came from working in TV too, but he's already established the Woody Allen persona already right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's really it's awesome. Except he's a hardened, really crappy criminal.
I mean,
after 15 minutes, I wanted to marry her. After half an hour, I completely gave up the idea of stealing her purse.
You can tell, even at that point, he's having trouble not making the love stuff a little sweet, though. I mean, there's a little more to it. It's almost like the stuff he's making fun of would not have captured some of the sweeter moments of that guy's life as well as he did by just making complete jokes out of it.
Oh, absolutely, and also point. Too, he does. Like I mentioned to Abe. Love the music by Marvin Hamlish in it. It's great. It's almost like this crazy like French Connection heist music, and it plays pretty much straight. The music is straight, like it's a serious flick, except for a couple of parts there, and like everybody plays it straight, which makes it so much more funnier. Like everybody's like deadpan straight, and it's just the situations are absurd.
You can tell right away. I mean, that's something he just develops, but right away he knew it'd be really funny to give really serious context to all these goofy things, and he sticks with that.
Yeah,
I agree. One thing I found interesting is how, in one scene, it feels like I'm watching a movie in 1969, and the other time it feels like I'm watching a movie. When is this set? When was this set? 30 or 40?
He was born in 35, and it was like
yeah.
55.
Right.
But I think it finally caught up to his age.
Was that it? Because it feels like he's at that pool hall when he's an early criminal, and it's like, well, that's 69.
Yeah.
It's really an interesting film, and it's still rough around the edges for sure, but it definitely wins you over. Just his performance or his timing and his comedy win you over, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and it had that cool 60s look too, didn't it? that
He talks about the cinematography. That was another thing I wanted to bring up from the book, because basically what he talks about in the Woody Allen book is that he knew exactly what he wanted, and he ended up, I think they fired the first cinematographer who worked on the movie, and Woody basically got down and he didn't think about. He said he didn't really anticipate any problems. He was like, well, I'm just going to go make the movie. He knows exactly what he wants. And however his contract worked out, he didn't actually get to pick a lot of the people on the crew, apparently. And so, here, let me find it. Oh, yeah, so he says everything was chosen for him. The only people on the crew he picked were the costume designer, the cameraman, and the art director. But he didn't know who any of them were because he wasn't really involved in any of that. So he just sort of picked whoever. And he said, I had no idea what the real problems were, but I soon discovered because I fired the cameraman and I fired the costume designer. So of the few people he picked, two of them didn't last. Of the three people he picked. And then he hired someone else who he said was professional, but at the end of the day, it sounds like he was the one sort of having to do it all without really knowing what he was doing. And he said he had asked Carlo De Palma to do it, but he was glad that no actual professional people came and worked on the movie, because he said he had no idea what he was doing, and so he doesn't think it would have worked out. So he, after this one, he seemed like he had a better idea what he wanted, but you can tell that from the beginning he's kind of a control freak about the cinematography, and so that's something that's going to be interesting watching them all chronologically to kind of see him actually building that visual language a little bit more, because this one seemed like it owed a lot more to movies that he liked that he had seen in the past, as opposed to sort of that flowing style that he eventually settles on.
I was going to ask you guys about that. Is this like Is this like mocking crime shows, or where does this come from? This whole fake documentary about a criminal. Is this making fun of like Dragnet or something that I'm not aware of?
It definitely has that feel, especially with the narrator. I don't know if that guy narrated Dragnet, but
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah.
I've heard the guy's voice before. It's probably that crime, maybe even a little bit of love stories. He's aping like everything in it.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, but I think you see, he's kind of throwing a lot of different genres, and I don't think I think when he does that one genre of the crime shows, he does a good job of sort of aping that style. But he's not. He tries not to be stuck with one because he's got the love story. The comedy is shot a lot more broadly, and then even the escape scene towards the end when they're on the chain gang. I mean, that's shot very differently as well. That's kind of got. There's some of the shots are a little bit more epic. They're a little bit more. There is ambition in a lot of it, but it's sort of all over the place in the way that the camera works. And so you could tell that he was kind of trying to figure out for each scene, if he shoots them in a different way, is it going to be more effective? Like a lot of the comedy is shot, sort of the medium shots, or he does fewer cuts of those. And then like in the love stories, he's got a lot of that dolly stuff kind of going around. And I mean, I don't know. It's interesting because it's very different from the contained style, and he develops a consistent camera style very quickly. I think. I mean, I don't remember the styles of Bananas and Sleeper and some of those other ones quite as well, but I know by Love and Death you can pretty much tell. I mean, that's a Woody Allen movie, and it looks like a Woody Allen movie, even if it's just as goofy.
Yeah. I looked up the cinematographer who was credited has like a long TV history, Bonanza, like big shows. I mean, the guy worked for like 60 years, and he doesn't look like he did too many movies, but the guy did a really good job. And like Tom said, you could see probably Woody's trying new things. Like the Chain Gang was well shot. Like I actually told Abe, I'm like, this is the movie. Like they should make a movie on a Jim Thompson novel that looks like this. Because even the sets, like it was like this old small, looked like a big small town, and it was just very American actually. Pretty like 60s Americana. It really felt American.
Yeah, I can see that. And speaking of connections and who he worked with, the co-writer, what was his name? Mickey Rose. Yeah, was a Sid Caesar guy too. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, he's definitely relying on people that he knew, at least a little bit.
Yeah, the Mickey Rose thing's interesting because I don't know, Woody's relationship with co-writers has always been kind of interesting to me because he picks them. I don't know, it's weird kind of who he picks, but then he said on this one, this was the most direct collaboration of a co-writer. He talks about in the book as well, actually, where he said that in that one they actually would just type out every line on a typewriter. It was complete collaboration, whereas when he gets to Marshall Brickman, it's more of they would kind of just to talk about everything, and then Woody would go off and write it, and then they'd come back and collaborate some more. So this one, it sounds like it's just the two of them bouncing jokes off of each other, and I think you could see that in the movie for sure. Yeah. And I think it worked. I mean, it is really funny. I mean, this one has a very small percentage of jokes that don't land. I mean, it's hard to even think of any.
No, it was consistently funny movie, and like not easy to do. I don't think.
I don't know if the Chain Gang works all bunched together, shifting around the room. I don't know if that works or not, but
it's stupid, but it still works. I mean, I don't think I can't complain about that after just talking about Tiger Lily, though. I mean,
your hatred of Tiger Lily's unfair, Tom.
It's not hatred, though. I mean, I admit that Tiger Lily works against my better judgment of whether it should work.
Yeah,
I don't know. Okay, so
see, somebody walked out of the room when you were saying that. I don't know if you...
Well, okay, so take the money and run.
Yeah.
I think you can see you can tell that Woody is going to do love stories. That's what I got the most out of this is you could tell it was a crime movie. He kind of wanted to make a crime movie, but it seemed like he really liked the love story. He liked grounding it in that love story, and he did a good job grounding the movie with that love story that the character keeps going back to, and it actually was less shoehorned than it is in most comedies, I think, and the really broad comedies like that. And so, I don't know, it was interesting to me watching that, and then, I don't know, there's a little bit of a love story in Bananas, right? I don't remember Bananas that well.
There's a little bit, but you're right, though. That's a good point. Woody's comedy, I've seen some of his stand-up to that point, and What's Up, Tiger Lily, was very sex-obsessed. And I'm not saying that this doesn't have an undercurrent of sex, but he's much more interested in love now.
Yes.
That's definitely a change in his, at least in how he was creating art.
Well, Woody, I mean, just talking about his movies, most of his movies are kind of sex obsessed, though.
Right,
No,
right. No, they are. But I'm saying this is the first time that I've seen where Woody actually is more interested, or at least as interested in love.
I think that the balance between love and sex
Yeah.
is something that's starting. I think you can. This is probably the genesis of it in his art,
Yeah.
visually anyway.
do you think it was also maybe because too like a censor thing in '69? '69's a big difference between '77 or something like that.
Well, maybe that he's cutting down on the sex jokes, but that doesn't. I mean, that wouldn't give him a reason for elevating the love.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think, it's a pretty sweet love story in the movie, even though it's not given a whole lot of time to flourish really, but
No,
it works really well. And I don't know the actress who plays the love interest in this, but I mean she was really good too. Even just in what she had to do, she played off of him nicely. You can kind of see the start of the way that he's going to write for Diane Keaton. I think it's at a very very basic level here, but I mean as he sort of builds. I don't know. It's fun to watch that as he's starting to play with that and sort of I think you can see he's starting to think about where he can take something like that, and he gets further and further away from sort of the high concepts. But it takes him 5 more movies or whatever to get to that point.
yeah, this is probably easily the beginnings of his. He probably had an idea where he wanted to go. It's like I like the funny stuff, the broad stuff, but let's see where I can take it. But
That's something I'm really excited about because okay, what's next? We have what is Bananas and then Sleepers, or is it Bananas and everybody or everything you always want to know about sex?
I'm not
Can't
sure
remember.
chronologically.
Yeah, it's hard to remember exactly.
Look in the book, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's Bananas and then everything you wanted to know about sex.
Okay, so yeah, this discussion here, this one subject. It'll be fun to kind of watch that as we go because you got the most sex obsessed one coming up here next time.
But that's really all like pretty much broad comedy. That's almost like Kentucky Fried Movie type. For me anyway.
Yeah, well, I think he's. I think that's what he thought he wanted to do at this point. It seems like. I don't think he. I think maybe he was starting to realize he was good at doing more than that. But at this point, it doesn't seem like his ambitions are that dramatic or really even that ambitious, really at all, in terms of getting outside of just a lot of jokes that work. You can tell this is the joke writer Woody Allen starting to make movies.
When did he stop? Because if I'm not mistaken, most or all of his movies now, he doesn't have a composer. It's all like classical stuff. When did he stop having somebody write for his films? Do we know? I mean, Hamlet did it for this film. I wonder.
I think he does a couple of the next ones too. Let's see. I'm trying to think here. By Love and Death, I think he had pretty much been done.
Wow.
Does Sleeper have an original score? I know it's got that jazzy stuff kind of in it, but I don't know if it's original or
I
not.
have no idea. That's a good question.
Because I know I think my friend Pete probably read that book. And I think he said something like he won't put any music in movies that's made past like 1940 or something. It's all like I don't know if that's the exact year, but I remember like my friend saying a quote like that.
Yeah, well, I think, let's see, he's got the one exception. I think Cassandra's Dream, Philip Glass did the music for that one.
Okay.
I think there might be one other exception, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, that sounds right. And I think here, let me find it, because he talks a little bit about working with a composer. Let me just see if I can find that in there. I think he basically what he talks about is that hiring a composer was just sort of the thing that they told him to do because that's what you do when you make a movie. But he doesn't sound like he particularly liked it. He just didn't know he could do anything else when he was starting out. I know he mentions it.
Well, we can keep talking.
It's going to be boring.
Yeah, while he's turning the page.
Just say things. Yeah.
I want to bring up a point. Like,
go for it.
Reading his quotes, he seems to be like he's a gentle atheist, and like
What does that mean?
it seems that he just obviously doesn't believe in God, but he does it with humor. And in this movie, his parents mentioned that he's an atheist in the movie. That must have been kind of tricky back in '69. No,
This seemed like he thought he was going to be edgy with some of that stuff.
yeah,
There's maybe some anger there.
yeah, because I mean, for a character in a movie in '69 to declare they don't believe in God might have been a little racy.
Well, maybe so, but I mean, he was either in New York or Hollywood at the time. Come on, I mean,
That's true.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that big of a shock.
Maybe
I-
maybe it didn't play in your guys' neck of the woods then.
Yeah, you don't find many Nebraskans who like Woody Allen in general.
Yeah, right.
Us godless New Yorkers, we should all burn in hell anyway.
But I mean, even then, the way that he kind of keeps going back to that, trying to beat God into him, and just some of those jokes, I think Woody seems to think that that's going to shock people. I think he's doing that with a little bit of it's going to take people back a little bit more.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Whereas, I mean, that's a long way from putting the Wonder Bread on top of the picture of blonde Jesus when he gets to some of the jokes later on. There's a difference to the way he's telling the jokes. Let's see. I'm not finding this. I don't know where it is. I swear it's in here. Oh, here it is. Okay, actually. So he says the first couple of movies, he hired the composer just because it was a cliche and everyone used somebody to use scores on their movies. Then he says, then a little further down the line, I started to realize that every time I edit, I stick these records behind the scenes, and I like it better that way. I like the sounds of the records. He says he can control it. He can do the music himself, and he doesn't have to worry about working with a composer. So he says it needed no finesse. He can turn it up when he wants to, and he can turn it off when he wants to. So he started doing that and never stopped. So I guess he just likes the control of it. And it works. I think, I don't think his movies would be better with an original score.
No, I agree. So Tarantino's basically just ripping off Woody Allen.
Has Tarantino ever talked about Woody Allen?
Well,
Not that I'm aware of.
it's a good point because I also think that scene where his gang comes in and the wife is making him, making him coffee and stuff like that. It's played for laughs, but that's almost something that you could see Tarantino doing in a flick. It's got that very same type of attitude.
Yeah, she put out a little
Yeah.
trays of pretzels and bullets.
Yeah.
I had to. He's my husband. Yeah.
I'd love to see what Tarantino actually thinks of Woody Allen. That'd be interesting. I feel like Woody Allen's probably a little too toned down for Tarantino.
Yeah, probably is.
But the dialogue thing, I actually think that I like Allen's dialogue better than Tarantino's now. I like Tarantino's dialogue better in the 90s. Now I think he's just too in love with himself, and it just seems to sometimes, all right, enough. But there's a kind of a kinship there, I think, between the two of them.
I get the sense, if anything, Allen is too out of love with himself at times.
Yeah.
As he goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's absolutely that self-deprecation. There's a lot of truth behind that. Yeah.
I mean, some of those he's just bored with himself in the shows and the movies. Okay, before I don't know where this is going or if we're winding down here, but least favorite Woody Allen movie, if you had to think of one, what jumps out for you guys?
Wow.
Manhattan Murder Mystery, just off the top of my head.
That bad? You think? I thought that was okay. It was pleasant enough.
Ooh,
I
but there's
guess.
also Everyone Says I Love You Too. I don't know how I felt. I don't remember liking that one.
Yeah, that one was kind of bland. I thought
It does have that great line about it. I could take the Concorde and be dead, 2 hours earlier. But other than that,
I didn't like, what was that, Scoop? That was kind of...
I liked Scoop. No one likes Scoop.
I didn't love that one too much.
Small Time Crooks, I remember really just having trouble getting through.
That was kind of decent, I thought. It wasn't too terrible.
Celebrity, maybe? I didn't like Celebrity.
Yeah, that was a weird one, too.
That's one I'm... Oh, go ahead.
Wasn't it like the first, like, Leo star, even though he was only in it for a bit after Titanic? Wasn't he in that for like a bit?
He is briefly, yeah. That's the timing would make sense. I think that was like 99.
it's right around there, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that one.
That'll be interesting to see what becomes our least favorite Woody Allen movie now.
Yeah, you know what? And
In 5 years.
I think it could change too for me easily. You could see something now and be like, "Oh, this is pretty good."
Yeah, I'm really excited to kind of do that actually with some of those ones. Like I don't remember Celebrity that well, or even some of like Alice. I know I watched Alice, but I don't really remember it at all. So I mean, it'll be fun to kind of go through these, and I don't know. I'm excited to keep talking about them. Any last thoughts from you guys about any of this?
No, I'm just really excited to start doing this. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, I guess these are two of the movies that we'll probably talk about the shortest amount of time because I think
There's not a lot.
No, there's not a lot there, but they're still both wildly entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Well, Take the Money and Run is wildly entertaining. Tiger Lily is kind of entertaining.
I'm not going to take any more shit from a Billy Madison fan. I'm just telling you that right now.
I mean, you got to say, Take the Money and Run must have really, influenced Airplane, Naked Gun, all that stuff. I would think. It's the same.
So? You think you can draw a line from that to those?
Sure. The same kind of, play it straight, play it to the bone, but ridiculousness. Look at Airplane. Everybody's playing. It's like a freaking Airport 77. Same with the Hot Shots and Naked Guns. Yeah, Top Secret. Underrated, like Top Secret, man.
Top Secret. I haven't watched it in a very, very long time, but I remember really enjoying that one. No one ever talks about that one.
But like that whole playing it straight type of thing, and I guess it's, precursor to Zelig, which I kind of enjoyed pretty much.
This will be fun to kind of get into these ones. When are we going to be back?
We're doing 2 Woody Allen movies every month, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I guess towards the end of April, we'll be hooking up again, talking about which ones did we say?
Bananas and everything you always want to know about sex, but we're afraid to ask.
That's an interesting one. I was actually looking forward to revisiting Bananas.
Yeah. Did you like that one?
I remember liking it, yeah, an awful lot. I think Woody peaked in the 70s as I'm looking back.
You kind of there's 2 70s Woodies though. There's Woody pre Love and Death, and then Annie Hall, and after that.
I think he found the perfect balance. Okay, this is just as I recall, with Annie Hall, of the old jokey Woody Allen, and actually being deeper and having heart. After that is when I started to become a little disinterested. I mean, I still like Manhattan, obviously.
Man, yeah, that'll be a fun conversation. We should not have calls on that one. What about Interiors? Do you like Interiors?
I remember not liking it.
I don't remember it that well at all.
I don't remember it that well at all either. That was Abe, no love for like Broadway, Danny Rose, Purple Rose of Cairo.
I can't. I don't remember those well enough to speak to them right now.
I love a Midsummer Night's Sex comedy. I think that one's hilarious.
I'm looking forward to it. The only thing that we took in the chat heat-wise was just Ronan throwing some bombs at us.
It's to be expected.
Yeah, that's about it. So everything else is running smooth.
But just think of all the glorious black and white independent movies we get to watch.
Yeah, this is going to be so fun.
It's the way film should be.
If anything, I understand why we wouldn't increase the pace, but it's sad that it's going to take us so many years to get through all of this.
Hopefully we're all still around at the end, right?
There's only
at the end it might be Abe talking to himself, man.
Oh, God. You think I'm going to be the last one standing? 50 movies, 2 a month. Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there, yeah. I mean, so the longer we can put off the late 90s, early 2000s ones, I mean, that's good. So we'll get there. It'll be okay.
And we may have to stop at some point, maybe, I don't know, and do the Amazon project, or are we just going to wait till we get there?
We should wait till we get there, probably.
Okay.
Right? It's fair.
Yeah.
I guess that's another thing we can talk about is when they're new. Do we want to jump ahead? I don't know.
That's the question. That's the question right there.
Interesting.
I don't have an answer.
No. And we also, Tom and I were discussing, and we might as well just do this on the air. Why the hell not?
This is the vegetable lasagna way. Let's go for
right,
it.
yeah. I mean, we're filing this under vegetable lasagna on the YouTube channel.
All 3 people that are listening, who cares?
Yeah, right, exactly. There's more hosts than listeners.
Exactly.
But
Hey,
are we
some of
gonna,
the best bands said that. You know, there were more people on stage than in the crowd.
That's what we can cling to
are we
for
ever
the
gonna
next 2 years.
are we gonna do like miscellaneous episode where we deal with stuff that Woody didn't direct?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
So we can do Play It Again, Sam, Fading Gigolo,
Casino Royale.
Casino Royale. What else is there? He's been in a few just random movies throughout. I don't really want to do one on ants, but I guess we could.
No, let's not just skip ants. Let's just say.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a huge deal, though. I remember with that. That was a huge deal when he did that.
It's basically, he's the Woody Allen character.
Yeah.
I remember watching it. It's not really my type of movie.
I mean, do we have to say, like, he had a huge influence on Costanza, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So is every nervous Jewish man just Woody Allen? Is that what we're saying?
if you walk through New York, you're going to meet a lot of these guys.
So, I mean, but they're all Woody Allen? I mean, they didn't exist before Woody showed up? In 1965, New York was populated with strong, confident Jewish men.
Yes.
Okay.
That became...
What's that other one he did right around the same time?
Of ants?
No, same time as What's Up, Tiger Lily? What's New, Pussycat?
Oh, yeah.
We should probably talk about that one.
Well, maybe we should do that towards the end.
Yeah. Okay.
We can go back to the stuff he didn't directly influence, maybe.
Okay, that works for me.
Yeah.
All right. Any other last thoughts from anyone?
No, I'm really excited to do this. That's my big thought.
Yeah, these are cool. And I always loved the apartments in the Woody Allen movies. I loved the books that were always lining. I always wanted an apartment like that.
You can have one. You can
Yeah.
put that in the back of your shots.
There is a bookcase here, but it has no books in it. My bookcases are over there.
I imagine in my mind that the dimensions that you're on a camera, that's the entirety of your apartment, and it costs like $5,000 a month.
No, I'm in Long Island. It's not bad.
Okay.
We'll figure out exactly how much he pays for rent next month.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we should take a poll.
Ronan can speculate. I guess.
And we had 5 people here.
Well, that's better than I thought. Okay.
Yeah, apparently Ronan's just off on his own tangent. He's talking about Sin City right now, so we have lost our audience.
Now,
Well-
Sin City would be interesting with Woody Allen in it, wouldn't it?
Oh, that's it. We'll just say what movies would be good with Woody Allen.
That's what it'll be in a few years. It'll just be what if this was directed by Woody Allen?
Woody Allen as Chief Brody in Jaws.
Yes. Yes.
I'd watch it. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
All right. Well, that's probably it then. Should probably
That's
wrap this
pretty
up.
much it. Wrap us up, Tom.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, all 5 of you, or however many there will be, I guess, later. We'll be back next month, end of next month probably, with bananas and everything you always want to know about sex, but we're afraid to ask. So have a good night, everyone. We want to sign off. Thanks. This was a decent pilot. When the movies have more we can talk about, this should go pretty well.